So, lifestyle gymnastics, huh? I gotta admit, when I first heard that, I thought, okay, is this just another fitness fad? We see them come and go all the time.
Right.
But the more I dug into it, the more intrigued I got.
Yeah, it's definitely got people talking.
It's not about just hitting the gym. It's about finding ways to move more, but like intentionally.
Yeah.
Not just physically, but like mentally and emotionally too. Sounds pretty amazing, right?
It does sound pretty great. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Exactly. But is it legit? Is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Well, I can tell you this much. It's definitely more than just a trendy term. I mean, it sounds new, but it actually draws on some pretty ancient movement practices, blends them with like these modern wellness ideas.
I like that.
It's really about, instead of nailing a perfect routine or like competing against other people, it's about how can you find ways to move that make you feel good, like holistically.
Totally. And that was one of the things that really struck me when I was reading that article we shared.
Mm-hmm.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
No matter your age, no matter your current fitness level, you can adapt it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think like when a lot of us hear gymnastics, we immediately picture, Olympians doing crazy flips and stuff.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Right. Totally. So how does lifestyle gymnastics, how does that differ from that image?
Well, at its core, it's about something called functional movement. So instead of these like specialized skills, it's about how do we move in our everyday lives? Bending, lifting, reaching, balancing, even just like walking with good posture. Things we do naturally, but maybe not always with that much thought.
Right. So making those everyday movements easier, more fluid, less likely to cause us pain, I'm guessing.
Exactly. It's about moving with more like grace and ease and just reducing your risk of injuries no matter what you're doing.
I love that. And that example from the article about, like, imagine carrying groceries or climbing stairs, things that, as we get older, maybe get a little bit harder.
Yeah.
They could be less of a struggle, less risky even. I can see how that would be really appealing to a lot of people, especially people who maybe have been intimidated by other fitness programs in the past, or just like the thought of going to the gym. This just seems different.
And it really is. And, part of that difference is this big emphasis on what's called body awareness.
Okay.
Which is basically learning to actually listen to your body's signals, understanding your limits, preventing injuries, and ultimately figuring out what feels good for you. Not like some, arbitrary standard, but what feels good for you in your body.
Okay, I love that. That suggests that this mind-body connection goes way beyond just like the physical workout itself.
Oh, absolutely.
It becomes something you carry with you.
Exactly. That focus you build during exercise, like how each movement feels, that actually starts to spill over into other areas of your life.
I like that.
So you're just more aware of your physical self, period.
Yeah, throughout the day.
Yeah, not just at the gym.
Not just at the gym. Okay. So that kind of leads me to the next thing that really jumped out at me, which is all of the mental and emotional benefits that we're hearing about, right? We're talking stress reduction, improved mental clarity, even like mood boosting.
Right.
But is this for real, or is this just like clever marketing? Because, I mean, come on, who wouldn't want all of that?
Right. It sounds amazing.
It does.
It's not hype, though. There's actually like some really cool science behind this.
Okay.
Like for starters, we know that any type of physical activity, it releases endorphins.
Right.
Which have that mood boosting effect, and they combat stress. And there's a really cool reason for that.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Okay, so endorphins, they're not just about making you feel good in the moment, though they do that too. They actually interact with receptors in your brain, especially the ones involved in like pain and your stress response.
Oh, wow.
So it's like your body has this built-in system to kind of regulate those more difficult feelings, and exercise is like the key. It's like unlocks it.
Wow. So it's like your body's own like feel-good pharmacy.
Exactly. And there's even more to it than that. So remember those like rhythmic controlled movements that are such a big part of lifestyle gymnastics?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they tie into something else that's incredibly powerful for our mental well-being. Mindfulness.
Yeah.
And studies show that like focusing on your body and your breath in this way can actually lower cortisol, the stress hormone.
Right. So it's like this 1-2 punch. You got those incredible endorphins doing their thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got the calming, centering effects of mindfulness, all triggered by like moving your body in these very specific ways. And I think that's a connection a lot of people miss when they think about movement, right? They
Yeah.
focus so much on just the physical changes.
Right, right.
But the mental and emotional impact can be huge.
It really is. And to take it even a step further,
Yeah.
remember that study we included from the Journal of Sport and Exercise Psychology? Well, they found this remarkable link between regular movement, and it could be any kind, really, and improvements in things like your concentration, your memory, even like your ability to learn new information.
Wow.
Basically, when you move your body, you're also giving your brain a workout, too.
Which makes sense because even with this lifestyle gymnastics approach, which is all about moving naturally, it still requires like a good bit of coordination and focus,
Yeah,
right?
well,
You're challenging your brain to kind of learn these new movement patterns right alongside your muscles.
Yeah.
So cool. But now for the big question. How do we actually make this whole lifestyle gymnastics thing work in our busy lives? I mean,
Well, that's just, it's easy to get caught up in that, like, oh, man, another thing to try to squeeze in.
right.
But that's where the beauty of this whole approach really comes in, I think.
Okay.
Because it's not about that. It's about finding those little ways to just make movement more seamless in your everyday life.
And I loved, there were some really good examples, I thought, in that blog post, like turning your work break into a mini stretch session, finding playful ways to move with your kids if you're a parent, even, right, making those household chores count. It's like you're turning your whole life into a moving meditation.
Exactly. And these little bursts of activity throughout the day, they really do add up.
Well, got
Both physically and mentally.
yeah.
And because you're not forcing it, because it's tied to things you're already doing, it doesn't feel like, ooh, like I got to go do this workout.
Yeah.
It's like living your life, but maybe a little more mindfully.
I like that. Which, I mean, honestly, with how much time most of us spend kind of glued to screens these days,
Yeah.
a little more mindfulness sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
And, there was that part in the article I thought was really cool about turning your everyday walk into something more dynamic.
Oh.
So it's not just going from point A to point B, but like maybe adding in some lunges, side steps, maybe even a little bit of skipping if you're feeling adventurous.
You know what I love about this approach?
That's that.
It brings that playfulness back into movement.
Yeah.
It's not about doing it right or wrong. It's about what feels good in your body. What does your body want to do? And this is crucial. Start slow. Listen to your body. I mean, this is a lifelong journey. This isn't about like day one, you're, pushing yourself to the limit.
Right, exactly. And I think that's such a good reminder because it's so easy, especially I think with fitness, we have this kind of go big or go home mentality.
Yeah.
But this is different. This is about building sustainable habits.
Absolutely.
Oh.
And that's why it's so important to find activities that you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Because if it feels like a chore, if it's on your to-do list, you're not going to stick with it.
You're going to find a way to skip it
Yeah.
or put it off.
Exactly. But, if it's something that you genuinely look forward to, whether it's that 5 minutes of stretching while you're listening to this podcast, or it's taking the long way on your walk home and just kind of, enjoying the scenery and making it like this little mini adventure, those things, they add up.
I like that. It's not about adding more to your plate. It's about like finding those little pockets
Yeah, exactly.
of joy, of movement.
Yeah. And the more you do that, these small, consistent efforts,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised what happens. It's remarkable.
Well, and you touch on something really important, which is consistency. And the article talked about how this isn't a quick fix.
Right.
This is about making these gradual changes that over time become so ingrained, they become part of who you are.
I love that you picked up on that because it's so easy. We all want that, like instant transformation, but real change.
Right.
It happens when you shift your mindset from like the destination to the journey itself.
Yeah, I like that. And it's amazing, right, how it shifts your perspective. Because it's not about, I have to fit this workout into my day. It's like, how can I bring more movement into my life in a way that feels good?
Exactly. And it's sustainable.
Yes.
It's not about pushing yourself to the limit every single day.
Right. It's about making it a part of your life, not just like this thing you check off a list.
I couldn't agree more. And the best part, it really is for everyone. Wherever you are in your journey with like fitness and wellness, it's adaptable.
Absolutely. We've covered so much today, from like those endorphins and how they affect our mood, all the way to, turning your walk to work into a mini workout.
Right. Who knew?
I know. So for you, what are some of the biggest takeaways for our listeners today? What do you really want them to remember?
When it comes down to it, I think lifestyle gymnastics, it's all about like rediscovering that joy in movement, like
Yeah.
really tuning in to what your body's telling you, what it needs, what feels good.
I love that because it's not about, forcing yourself into those crazy poses or pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion. It's about honoring where you're at.
Absolutely. And starting small, you don't have to overhaul your whole life overnight. It's those little changes done consistently that make a huge difference over time.
Totally. Like maybe instead of taking the elevator, you take the stairs that one time. Or you stretch for 5 minutes while you wait for your coffee. Those little moments of mindfulness can really make a difference.
I think so too. And the more you do those little things, the more you start to feel the benefits. More energy, more awareness. You just feel better.
And that's what creates that positive cycle, right? Because when you feel good, you want to keep going. It's like you're tapping into that mind-body connection in a way that just feels, well, natural.
Yes, exactly. It should feel natural, not forced.
So important. Well, as we wrap up here, I always love to leave our listeners with something to think about, maybe inspire them to take action.
I like that.
So what's your thought-provoking question for us today?
How about this? What's one small way you can bring a little bit more of that mindful movement into your day-to-day? And it could be as simple as like taking a deep breath, stretching your arms up, even just noticing how your feet feel on the floor as you walk.
Love it. It's a great reminder that even the tiniest actions can have a ripple effect. Well, on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive on lifestyle gymnastics for today.
It's been fun.
Always a pleasure chatting with you, as always. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep moving, and keep listening to your body.
It knows what it's doing.